Alright, hey, I'm Lowen Artiga. It's me right here, and I'm doing my speech on the escape of Alcatraz. Alright, so imagine disappearing from the world, never to be seen again. Now imagine doing that from a prison. Well, on June 11th, 1964, that's what these three men did. Their names were Frank Morris, John Anglin, and Clarence Anglin. And they did this here, Alcatraz Island. It's one of America's most notorious prisons. It's off the coast of San Francisco, and it's one of the most famous prisons in American history. It is currently used as a huge tourist attraction down in California. It was originally built in 1859 as a fort. It was converted to a military prison in 1868 and started taking inmates in 1934. It gained a reputation as one of the most notorious prisons in the United States because of its locations and the fact that it was a former military prison. It was considered inescapable. It housed many inmates, including Al Capone, many of you know them as Scarface, George Machine Gun Kelly, Alvin Karpis, and Robert Stroud. And on June 12, 1964, the morning during a routine head check, the guards had found 3 papier-mâché heads, and they realized that people had escaped and a lockdown happened. Little did they know that the evening before, 4 inmates had planned to escape, and 3 made it out. They left behind the papier-mâché, and that's what started the whole search. They met behind the corridor of their rooms and began to take this route down through to the bottom of the prison. They climbed up through the ventilator, down through a smokestack, over a fence to get to the water. They began planning this escape in December. They did this with a handmade home drill made from a vacuum cleaner and began to drill through the vents in the cell. Behind the cells, they began a workshop where they started to make the materials they would need to escape, such as a raft, and life preservers, and paddles. They made all of this by hand and climbed all the way to the top. Once they made it out the vent, and people were aware of their escape, the FBI was notified immediately, and they began investigations. One of them began to investigate was Allen West, who was one of the prisoners who did not make it out. He told them the entire operation, and the FBI began searching through everything, and they were presumed dead. However, there's been multiple photos of the Clarence brothers, or the Anglin brothers in Brazil. This one was found 16 years after the it was found after the escape, and it was presumed to be them. Later on, there was a letter found or wrote to the actual FBI claiming to be one of the Anglin brothers, and he was pleading amnesty to give up his location so long as he was not going to serve time. The escape of Alcatraz is actually truly one of America's most interesting stories. During its period of operation, Alcatraz was one of the most notorious prisons in America, and 3 of them were able to escape its icy waters. There is speculation as to whether or not they survived. Many believe that they did survive, and many believe that they didn't. However, the idea of them escaping successfully or not is what actually makes this really interesting story.